It was a warm summer night at Disney World, and the park was closed to guests. The employees were hard at work, preparing for the next day's visitors. But one employee, a young woman named Emily, was tasked with a particularly eerie job. She had to work alone, cleaning the dark, abandoned parts of the park that the guests never saw. Emily had been warned by her co-workers that there were strange things that happened at night in Disney World. Whispers of ghostly apparitions and unexplained noises had been passed down from employee to employee for years. But Emily brushed off their warnings. She was skeptical and eager to prove her bravery. As she began her shift, Emily quickly realized how alone she truly was. The quiet of the empty park was punctuated by the distant hum of machinery and the occasional scurrying of small creatures in the bushes. But it was the shadows that made her skin crawl. They seemed to move and dance around her, stretching and warping into shapes that were barely recognizable. As she walked through the park, Emily tried to convince herself that it was just her imagination. But then she heard it, a faint whisper that seemed to be coming from the shadows.
"Emily,"
the voice said.
"we've been waiting for you."
She froze, her heart pounding in her chest. The voice was low and raspy, and it seemed to come from all around her. She tried to run, but her legs wouldn't move. The shadows seemed to be closing in on her, wrapping themselves around her like tendrils of black smoke. Suddenly, Emily felt something cold and hard on her shoulder. She turned around to see a ghostly figure standing behind her. It was the figure of a little girl, her face pale and her eyes sunken.
"Come with me.
The girl whispered, her hand still on Emily's shoulder.
We want to show you something."
Emily tried to pull away, but the girl's grip was surprisingly strong. She was pulled through the park, past the attractions and down into the depths of the underground tunnels. The girl's hand was icy cold, and Emily could feel the darkness closing in around her. As they walked, Emily saw strange and horrifying things. The shadows seemed to come alive, twisting and writhing into terrifying shapes. The walls were covered in cobwebs, and the air was thick with the smell of decay. Finally, they reached a small room at the end of one of the tunnels. In the center of the room was a small, ornate box. The girl led Emily over to the box and lifted the lid. Inside, there was a human skull.
"We found this here a long time ago,"
the girl said.
"We think it's the remains of a worker who died down here."
Emily tried to scream, but no sound came out. She was trapped in the underground tunnels with the ghosts of Disney World. Suddenly, she woke up. It was all just a dream. But as she looked around, she realized that she was still in the park. The shadows still danced around her, and the hum of machinery filled the air. She knew then that she had to get out of the park, and fast. She grabbed her things and ran as fast as she could, never looking back. From that day forward, Emily never worked the night shift at Disney World again. She knew now that there were things that went bump in the night, and that some things were best left unexplained.